We are at the campus of Imarticus School of Finance and Business, ISFB. At the heart of India's financial capital, Mumbai, amidst most of the countries and some of the world's biggest financial companies. In this video, we are going to take you on a campus tour of ISFB here at the Hirindani Knowledge Park in Powai. Joining us today is Mr. Nikhil Bashikar, who is an ex-investment banker turned finance education leader. He is also the founder of Imarticus Learning and the chairperson of ISFB's advisory board. So let's begin. Hi Nikhil.
Hey.
Thanks for agreeing to do this.
Absolutely.
Before we begin, this doesn't actually look like a college campus. It looks like more of a place where you'll work, like a business park.
That's very deliberate. Come, let me show you more.
So we have the IIM Indore Mumbai campus, the BIT School of Management, Zidda Bokoni right upstairs. Great colleges.
Yeah, absolutely. These are great schools. And we have actually chosen to be here because we want to be in the august company of these great colleges. We think this is the right environment for our students to actually learn it.
In fact, as a matter of extension, we have the IIT Bombay, the IIM Mumbai right across here in Powai.
Yeah, and if you zoom out and if you look at Powai as a whole, right? It's not only the academic ecosystem which is very strong, but the corporates that are very strong. And we'll talk a little bit more about that later.
On that note, and speaking of these colleges, can I ask you a very direct question?
Please.
These are all reputed colleges running very solid BBA, MBA, BCom degrees. And more specifically, a parent watching this will have a very direct question. Why ISFB if these programs already exist?
It's a very valid question that parents should be asking us also, right? These are good colleges. They have the right intentions. But frankly, the curriculum and pedagogy is built for a finance industry that's already moved on. With AI, with technology velocity, with fintech particularly, etc., the curriculum and pedagogy has not stayed current. And more importantly, the gap between what the industry requires and what's coming out is only widened, right? Now with ISFB, we're fixing that. We're fixing it in our curriculum, we're fixing it with our faculty, we're fixing it with our pedagogy, and that's what this ISFB is about.
And of course, our outcomes as well.
Of course.
This is interesting. We are placed right next to IIM Indore's Mumbai campus. That in itself obviously doesn't define quality, but that does set a certain expectation, right?
Oh, you're right. And like I said before, right, your academic neighbors do influence the environment you grow in. The endless conversations, the energy, and the quality of people does help.
Absolutely. This is my personal favorite part of the campus, which is the simulations lab or the war room. And I'm most excited about this because no other college in India has a simulations lab today. So what is this about, Nikhil?
So most colleges talk about case studies, right? But if you think about it, most of it is rote learning, it's teachers talking to students, one-way traffic. You know, here, this room is an attempt to fix that. Here, learning is designed to be uncomfortable in a very good way. Real market data, real scenarios, students actually take calls like buy, sell, hold, invest. They build financial models under pressure, with the clock running particularly, like it happens in a real job with incomplete information. Now, that's what a finance job actually looks like. We are simulating it in this room. Students are forced to apply concepts and to make decisions and see our real-world outcomes.
This really makes me curious now, Nikhil, and if I may ask, where did the idea of a simulations lab originate from and sort of what inspired this room?
Yeah. Look, a lot of motivations, but I can tell you for sure, this is where it came from. But on a serious note, the gap between knowing and doing is enormous. And the industry knows it exists. They deal with it by spending the first 6 months training every new hire from scratch.
Which is after years of college.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's a tremendous waste of companies' time and frankly, the students' potential. This room exists so that the companies don't have to do this and students can start from day one.
So by the time ISFB students graduate, the workplace or the job isn't new to them.
That's exactly the idea.
Got it. So how does this work? I mean, how does the simulations lab build into the curriculum? Or quite frankly, how does a typical day in a student life look like?
That's a great question. The curriculum is developed in such a way that the foundation lectures are done in classrooms, but they come here to apply those theories, those foundations, if you will. So think about a financial modeling. We show them the concepts of financial modeling in a classroom format. Then they come here and actually make a financial model. So the idea is theory in a classroom, an actual real-world simulation in a simulation and wall app.
That's brilliant. We are now in the library, which does not feel like a library at all. While it is well stocked with books, but it's a hybrid between a library and a co-working space. Nikhil, what's the story behind this?
Look, finance is very collaborative, right? It's not about this lone warrior who thumb on a spreadsheet. I think that's a myth. Finance is all about people, and frankly, this space reflects that.
But shouldn't library be like a silent zone?
Look, libraries have to evolve, right? This is a quiet zone, but at the same time, it's collaborative. Now, if learners actually want to do some deep work, look around you, you can see solitary working pods. Learners can use that.
So on our right are the breakout rooms, and look at the names. These are all global indices.
Look, like traditional colleges, right? When they look at marketers and indices, there's a lot of, formulas, exam answers, and definitions, if you would, right? But think about markets. Markets have their own character, they have their own psychology, they have their own life. They respond to human behavior as much as to data. Look at the NASDAQ, its own journey, its own character. We have the Nikkei, which is the Japanese index, which has its own journey.
And when do the students get to use these breakout rooms?
Look, all the time. Every time you have to come together and work as a group, every time you have to work on a problem, they come here, collaborate in groups of 6 and 8 and work on different outcomes.
So we've arrived at the grandest space of the ISFB campus, the state-of-the-art UG classroom. Nobody can hide here, right, Nikhil?
No, that's exactly the idea, Varun. Finance is a very tricky field, right? It requires you to defend positions. It change your mind when people have evidence. And you can't do that sitting in a row, right? You have to be visible. Here, this place facilitates that. Everybody is part of the conversation.
Got it. And who teaches here?
Ivy League professors, IIT professors, IIM professors, and practitioners. Practitioners who have run trading desks, who have advised companies, who have built financial models. All of them come here and bring their practical experience. We think we need both. We need the facilitators to teach them real practical experience, and we need faculty to set the right foundation.
This combination, I've never seen it exist in anywhere else in the country.
Yeah, traditional colleges rely heavily on academics, while more sort of new age colleges rely on practitioners.
So we are in the product studio. This is where they work on live projects, right?
Not projects, products, right? So the idea is here to solve real world problems. No briefs, no hypotheticals. This is real problem solving at its best. Real problems that companies face have incomplete data, have ambiguity, have a human element built into it, right? So you can't replicate that in a case study. So here at the PG, we actually give them a real problem that a company is facing with, and they solve this as a group.
So when a student walks into an interview, they are not just saying, I've studied a financial model. They are actually saying, I've built a real product for an actual company.
That's absolutely what you've said is absolutely right. And that's exactly our target with these students. We want them to walk into an interview and say, we have done this and been there.
That's a very different conversation to walk into. Finally, some of these classrooms that look like normal.
Yeah, so these are for specialized cohorts like ACCA or CFA. The learners will come here for those kind of lectures. Let me take you to my favorite room.
We've already been to the simulations lab.
Not your favorite, my favorite.
Oh, then it must be the recreation room.
Wait for it, let's go.
The conference room. This is where you get to invest, right?
Yep, you're right.
So for those who do not know, ISFB also houses a 25 crore student startup fund pledged by Blink Invest.
So this is where it all happens. Young entrepreneurs work on their startups, pitch to the Blink Invest team, pitch to other VCs, angel investors, and industry experts.
So we are in the research room. That is the recreation hub of the ISFB campus. And we also have an app for a PS5.
Absolutely. Study hard, play harder.
Right, in a finance school.
Yeah. In a finance school, these are youngsters we are asking to operate at a high level consistent. The students who burn out in this industry, who leave early, who never reach what they're capable of, they're often the ones who never learn how to recover, how to actually switch off and come back sharper.
So you're saying that you solved for burnout even before they started their career?
Yeah, in a way, we thought about the whole person. We simulated entire careers and solved for most things critical for a life in finance, not just a career in finance.
Simulated inside the simulations lab, you mean?
Much before that.
One last question, Nikhil. Safety is a big concern amongst everyone, especially parents of the undergraduate students. How is ISFB approaching it?
Look, safety is paramount for everybody, for our faculty, for our staff. And that is why we have 24/7 CCTV surveillance. We have a medical room on premise, to name a few. As you're well aware, we are minutes away from the Hirandani Hospital and the Powai police station. Also, a fun fact is Powai has been now voted as one of the safest pin codes in the country.
Well, on that note, Nikhil, thank you so much for taking out time and doing this with us and personally walking us through the entire campus. To our viewers, I think we had great fun in sort of taking you around the campus, but that's not all. There is a second part of the campus that we are gonna do very soon, and hopefully with Nikhil again, where we are gonna cover the remaining parts of the campus, the places like seminar room, the cafeteria, the creative studio. By the way, ISFB campus also houses a FIFA-approved turf on the terrace, along with a pickleball court. Inside the building, there is a gym and a cafe. So rest and recreation isn't just a reward here, it's part of the program. Every day as I walk through these corridors, I keep thinking to myself, what if my college looked like this? Don't make that mistake. If you are someone who's figuring out a career in finance or helping someone else figure out, ISFB is the place to be. See you at the campus.